Well, John, welcome to Fifth Wall. And where are you coming in from today?
I am in the Bay Area.
Nice. Well, obviously, we are so thrilled to have you at the firm. And I thought this might be just a good opportunity for you to give people your background as an investor.
Yeah, thanks, Brendan. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, born and raised in the mountains there. From there, I went to the University of Pennsylvania, where I earned a degree in international relations and finance out of Wharton. And something that I learned really early on was actually being very focused on people, but got an opportunity to summer at Goldman Sachs and actually ended up finding a bunch of great people and decided, you know what, that aspect is really important to my own growth. And so I decided to go back, where I joined them in the TMT investment banking division. I had always wanted to transition to investing, and actually public investing, because the way I paid for my school, and by me, I mean my family, was actually they set some money aside and used that vehicle as an opportunity to teach me about market and about investing. And so from there, I actually got an opportunity to join the global investment research division of Goldman, covering communication services. And when I decided I actually wanted to go to the buy side, I had the opportunity to join, one of my clients, Point State Capital, as they were scaling out their focus on technology, media, and telecom. And so Point State was a spin out of Duquesne Funds and Stanley Druckenmiller. And actually something that then has persisted through my career is joining a platform that sort of had, a solid start, but really was an opportunity to help them scale. Now, during this period when I was there, this was the rise of FANG and a lot of large names. What my appetite, realizing there was a lot of exposure. And we had looked at investments around things like SoftBank and Yahoo to get exposure to Alibaba. I realized there's just a lot of alpha being generated there. And so I thought it was important to actually be a more holistic investor. I got tapped by one of the founding managing partners of the Vision Fund to go join SoftBank. So I moved my family from New York to San Francisco. And from there, almost the last 4 years, I invested in 7+ announced companies, helping to deploy about $3 billion. I had the honor of sitting on 5 boards, ranging in companies from GoPuff in the quick commerce space to ShipBob in the e-commerce fulfillment space, and then to Cameo, which is a creator economy play. And so just a lot of interesting activity, kind of ranging in terms of sectors, but obviously focused on growth and late stage.
And I'm curious from that position, obviously at SoftBank, when did you first start to think of proptech as a category?
Probably a couple of years into it. And so very much it cuts across industries. We've been very focused on the on-demand economy. Real estate's a critical component of that, right? To the services and goods that get moved across it. So, I didn't conceptualize it as early as you all, but a couple of years in, definitely had thought about it being a core part of my thesis. And you look across the portfolio that I invested in, GoPuff, for example, right? The ability to deliver in under 30 minutes has to do with their ability to reimagine what commercial real estate and warehouse real estate is and how you place that closer to the consumer. And so actually through a consistent theme through my portfolio at SoftBank, I actually touched on a lot of these key aspects.
And what's interesting as you say that is that, there's this almost very narrow definition of proptech, which is the notion that what proptech is definitionally is the selling of software to the real estate industry. And what I find the expansive aperture of what proptech can mean includes reimagining space. But what's interesting is that technology is fundamentally reimagining how we monetize space.
Right.
And I'm curious, how you think the edges of that, the periphery of what proptech is, will play out over the next 5 years.
That's part of the excitement of coming over and helping you and the rest of the team really scale the platform, because I think there are a lot of these things on the periphery, but in a sense, it's core to everything that happens in the world. As you look into robotics and automation, given the dynamics within the labor market, and then overall, you have the application of data and machine learning, because it is just such a big part of GDP, right? And you just have such an immense wealth of data that can be used to help optimize these things, and which eventually will help other parts of what Fifth Wall's focused on, be it climate tech and sustainability and all of these things, because in the end, by increasing utilization through the use of technology in real estate and in the broadest definition will actually help, reduce carbon emissions and help sustainability angles.
What's also interesting is obviously, you're stepping in to help Fifth Wall scale its growth effort. And I think if I were to, tell our original LPs or anyone who was looking at PropTech back in 2016, because at the time, about $4 billion in private venture capital inflows went to PropTech, or what is today defined as PropTech. Last year, 32 billion went in. This year, 50 billion is going in. And commensurate with that, there's been just greater, dispersion in the size and value and complexity and sophistication of PropTech businesses. When you look at PropTech now maturing, what excites you about that?
I think much like you guys pioneered the idea that you could have a fund dedicated towards PropTech. As you get out of the venture stage into the growth stage, you start to see who's been able to perform and emerge out of it. And now it is logical, right? You take a quick commerce company like GoPuff, which has been around for a while, right? Now that's a $15 billion company. That's clearly at the pre-IPO stage. That then we will start to have a lot of those very large private companies that I think we will be very well positioned to think about. And then look, the extension of that will be, what do we do when they're public, right? There's still a lot of value created in the public markets. I spent a lot of time in my previous past of actually continuing to monetize that. So how do we really end up evolving Fifth Wall to a life cycle investor, literally from seeds, Series A, support growth, help them prepare for the IPO, and then look, as they're public, especially a couple of years out, some of these companies may still need capital, but just to continue to be that partner until they become the next Google or Tesla of the world.
And I think the SPAC product is actually a great example of, how our unique model can add value to these kind of fast growing prop tech companies throughout their life cycle. Do you think entrepreneurs are starting to think about strategic value add through distribution lanes like Fifth Wall has?
Yeah, that was another part that was really interesting to me because it echoed of what we have seen at SoftBank, right? And so, the Japanese kiritsu is an old, well-known term, right? Where companies basically go out, form an ecosystem and help each other. And in a very similar dynamic, Fifth Wall is doing that within the built world space. There are a lot of smart people out there that have a lot of liquidity that could just do it, but lack those abilities to make those introductions and to facilitate those partnerships. And so I think that will continue to be a strategic advantage for us.
Well, Jon, I'm so excited, obviously, to begin working together. I think it's just exciting to see all of the opportunities also at the growth stage, where I think we can leverage all of the intellectual capital that we've, harvested over the last 2 years of, prosecuting an early stage strategy now into a late stage strategy, obviously with many of the same companies, many of the same relationships, broadly within the same ecosystem of corporates and tech companies.
Yeah, likewise, I've been so impressed with the team and really excited about just helping you guys continue to scale the platform, because what all the hard work you guys have put in is just an amazing shoulders to stand on to continue to push us forward.